Quinnen Williams decided to take to social media and change his bio on his Twitter. And we want to talk to our NFL reporter at the New York Post, Ryan Dunleavy. Ryan, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So when you saw Quinnen change his Twitter bio to identify himself as a defensive tackle for ... and removing the New York Jets there, what did you think?
This is what I went to journalism school for, to dissect Twitter bios. Yeah. Um, what did I think? I thought this is what happens when teams and players are disgruntled, right? This that we've seen this. This is straight from the disgruntled player handbook. Uh, Remove the social media tag of the team, remove any photos of them with the team. It ultimately leads to then you request a trade from the team. I don't think it's gotten to that point with Quinnen yet. That we haven't had any indication of that. But look, if it drags out further, that'll probably be where it goes. And we know from the Jets with Elijah Moore and Denzel Mims that the Jets don't cave to those kind of things. So getting a little ahead of myself. We're not at that point yet, but it's clear that these negotiations are not going well. And it's alarming because Quinnen made it clear in January that this was going to be the case. And since then, 4 defensive tackle deals have got done and not his. So it's definitely a problem.
Yeah, you bring up a great point about the other defensive tackles that you've seen sign recent contract extensions. Obviously, Quinnen's in the last year of his current deal, looking for that new extension. And you bring up guys like a Dexter Lawrence and a Jeffrey Simmons who signed 4-year deals. Obviously, Dexter Lawrence signed a 4-year, $90 million deal, 60 guaranteed. And Jeffrey Simmons signed a 4-year, 90, I believe it's 94 million, $94 million deal. So when you look at the structure and how those deals came together, how do you see Quinnen Williams' deal coming together for him and both him and the Jets?
There's no such thing really as an easy negotiation in the NFL, but this is about as easy as it gets. Like, that's what's troubling here is either Quinnen Williams is asking for too much money or the Jets are trying to look for a bargain, because this really should be pretty easy to hammer out. I've talked to enough people around the NFL that say the thing you need is recent comps, and you couldn't have a better market of recent comps. Dexter Lawrence, Deron Payne, Jeffrey Simmons have all signed extensions. They're all top defensive tackles, just like Quinnen, and they've all gotten 4-year deals between 21.8 million and 23.5 million per year. So, and then if you want to throw in Javon Hargrave, who switched teams, he got a 4-year deal for 21 million a year. So Quinnen Williams, assuming he wants to be the highest paid, should probably be asking for 4 years at $24 million. The Jets should probably be countering for 4 years at $22 million. And they should probably be settling for 4 years at $23 million with $60 million guaranteed. Because I'll give you the numbers here. Payne got 59 guaranteed. Dexter Lawrence got 60 million guaranteed, and Jeffrey Simmons got 59.3 guaranteed. So that's all basically the same number within $1 million of each other. So 4 years, $22 million or $23 million a year, and 60 million guaranteed. Done. I signed them.
Now, you brought up an interesting point on my first question about we haven't reached that point of the next part of the negotiating tactic here for Quinnen Williams, but you think about how an integral part of a defense he is. He plays that nose tackle, defensive tackle. He brings a lot of pressure from the interior on that defensive line for the Jets, which is a big part of Robert Saleh's defense. How do you see this playing out? Will Quinnen Williams, because he did say in January he will not take part in any Jets offseason workouts until a deal is done. How do you see this playing out between him and the Jets? Ultimately, will a deal get done?
Well, he said he wouldn't take part in any voluntary, right? So we're at everything's voluntary until mandatory minicamp in June, which for the Jets is, I think, around like June 13th or something like that. So that's the date to watch. He obviously won't be at the OTAs. Will he come to the mandatory part or will he take the fine? Usually guys in this situation take the fine, they skip the mandatory stuff, and if they get a deal done, the team usually forgives fines. I think that might be actually forbidden now to forgive fines, but if he gets a $93 million payday, he'll take the fine. So I would think he'll probably skip the mandatory. My guess would be he'll skip the mandatory part of the offseason, and then we'll be on training camp watch to see if he shows up. What do I think will get done? I think cooler heads will prevail. They'll get a deal done. They have comps. This isn't like the Jamal Adams or even like the Saquon Barkley situation with the Giants, where there's no recent comp to compare him to. I think eventually both sides will say he's as good a player, if not better than those guys. Let's pay him like those guys.
Well, Ryan, appreciate you as always giving us all your insight, and we'll see how this all plays out, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.